Hi everyone, welcome to an exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds, the Frogboy edition, maybe the kid slapshot edition, and that is an episode featuring Mr. John Burgin. John, thank you for jumping in, joining, and having some lunch with me today.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for asking me, Jason. I appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to have you anytime. Uh, I mentioned a couple of your titles there as I was introing the episode, but any that I missed, any particular creative jewels that you want to shout out before we talk a little bit about your creative history?
No, and actually, the kid slap shot is that's not mine. That's I did a pin up in one of the issues there, but
Yes, yeah.
yeah, but it's great stuff, man. I love what I love that stuff. So, but yeah, Frogboy is fine. That's kind of what I have working on, and that's what I've been working on up till now.
Yeah, Dan. What made you decide, hey, comics, this is the thing I want to do. This is the space for me.
Oh man, that's That's a good question because I didn't think that that was going to be the avenue I wanted to go with this at all. Frogboy started as a street art thing I was doing around town
Hmm.
um, several years ago. I just came up with this character and I would start painting his, go around to different walls and paint his face around the city. And then I was making stickers and slapping them up everywhere, just like "Go Frogboy, fight evil." And but then a friend of mine saw him and said, "Well, what's the story behind all this?" And I thought, "Well, good question. I don't really know." Um, but at the time, I had a few friends that were working in the comic business and the comic industry, and they were starting to kind of catch fire. And I went to one of the Heroes cons to see them set up,
Hmm.
and just walked around. And I loved what I saw. I saw all the different people creating. People that were major comic book working for major labels, and then I mean, most people were just making their own thing. And I said, well, this is what I need to do. I want to do this. I was intimidated because my art style doesn't really lend itself to hero style comics. I thought that my style worked pretty well for my own book,
Hmm.
and then I started looking at artists like Jim Rugg and Jim Mafood and Scotty Young, and they were non-traditional, and always been a fan of Sergio Aragonés and Jack Davis, and uh, just more cartoony. And I thought, well, this might could work. I'll just kind of work at it a bit, and that became the avenue, you know. So and now I've been doing that now for working on it and getting it out there for about 15 years.
Awesome, awesome. For listeners that are not familiar with Frog Boy, any sort of like teaser or anything that you would want listeners to know about him?
Well, he is an orphan who uh, he has some kind of origins in the supernatural. He's got a human parent and he has a supernatural parent. We don't know who these people are yet, but the next book is going to kind of tell the story, the origin story. But he kind of comes up through this orphanage, ends up getting displaced, and has to go on this journey to find out, you know, who he really is. And but he's a teenager. He loves a skateboard. He loves tacos.
Hmm.
But he's got a deeper purpose in life. He's got to figure out if he's going to follow that or not.
Love it, love it. There's so much about kind of those areas that comics go and the creativity, the ability to be cartoonish that I love about it. Curious about the collaborative process of it. What's that been like to be part of the comics community and to work with folks on the book?
Oh man, being part of the comic community has been fantastic. It wasn't easy to get in, because I wasn't I don't know if you're not a comic diehard, if you didn't grow up in comics, if you don't know a whole lot about comics, it can be, like I said earlier, a little intimidating.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
I remember the first time going into the show, I just felt completely out of my element. I didn't grow up with a lot of comic books. I had some, uh, but I just didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. But I made some friends. We have a group here in Charlotte called Sketch Charlotte,
Hmm.
and my friend Herc started that group a long, long time ago. And just getting involved with them and bouncing ideas off of each other and just sitting and sketching kind of helped put my mind at ease a little bit. And they've become some really good friends, and doing the shows that got me into my first Heroes Con, and where I met quite a few other artists, some by accident, but you know it's been wonderful to get feedback from people who have done it for a long time, and I enjoy it. Every time there's a show, we just did a mini con on Saturday, the Heroes mini con, and
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, it's a lot of anxiety just trying to get ready for a show. But once you're there and you see the other guys and the people who have been working in it, it's nice to just kind of be immersed in it. And it's a good community. They support each other mostly,
Hmm.
and at least my friends do.
Awesome. Awesome. I've heard great things about the community, and I know Heroes Con well. It's a great space, and so I imagine that's a place where people can connect with you. Are there other spots online or other conventions that you want to mention?
Sure. Well, anybody can connect with me on my Instagram. Frogboy Official is my Instagram, and that's where I'm beginning to get back into posting again about the new. I'll be throwing up tidbits of information on the process of the news story. It's going to take a while to get it out, but Frogboy Official. You can follow along there. There's a Facebook page also just called Frogboy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or you can just come be my friend on Facebook, John Burgin. That's fine. Um, I am going to do Captain's Comic Expo. It's in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. That's at the end of this month. It's February 24th and 25th, in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, which is right in the Charleston area, if people aren't too familiar with that. But it's a good show, and Mike and the guys do a great job, and I'm excited about that. And then from time to time, I'm at the Charlotte Comic Con, which is
Hmm.
3 times a year. It's a 1 day show at the Embassy Suites in Concord. And I think the next one is in April. Not sure what exact date it is, but that's what I got kind of coming up, and that's how people can get in touch or come by and say hi.
All right. All right. Sounds great. By means of an official final question, and we can hit anything that I might have breezed over or missed. Curious about what readers can expect as far as current work in Frogboy and work to come.
Well, the current stuff is there were two kind of silly stories just to kind of get something out there. And I say they're silly stories because the first book was called Taco Tuesday, and
Hmm.
it was a
Hmm.
self-published book that I made, and it was just about him, being a hungry kid on the street and sees $1 in the road, and then all of a sudden has to fight these other kids that want the $1 so they can buy some tacos, and so it's just kind of a mad dash to get the money and get the food. And then there's a little twist, with the taco rat getting the money, and now they've got to stop the taco rat. And the second book was called Punk Rock and Roller Derby, and it was something that I was trying to introduce a little bit more of the supernatural element in that book, with the gypsy flower, on the mountains, that if you eat the petal, you get supernatural strength and speed, but you also release this demon named Stax. But all Frogboy wanted to do was to go to the roller derby because this girl that he had a crush on was doing a newscast there, and so he skates down and makes some runs across the box heads, makes them mad, and it's also just like a big chase scene, and just kind of a couple fast paced stories. That one was published by New Friday Comics, which is a small imprint of Gleb Gleason, and they're in Toronto, Canada. And they did a real good job putting that book out for me. and it also included the Taco Tuesday in the back. But so what's to come is the origin story. People ask me about it, and that's what I'm working on now. And I think this one is going to be a little bit more slow down. I'm going to put a little more meat in it. It's just going to be. I'm really excited about it. You know, I'm excited to find out about who he is a little more myself because, you know, when you're writing stories, it's not like I just had this in my brain. Like I've got to write this story about this guy and he does this. It
Hmm.
comes to
Hmm.
me as I'm laying it out. But
Nice.
yeah, I get excited. I get like, oh, you know, get all giddy inside when I start thinking about it. But then I have to go to work, and I got to wait till I got to wait another 6 hours before I can work on it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the creative energy, the passion comes through. I love the style, as you were talking, like the cartoon sort of oriented and animated style, and glad to have you back anytime to talk about the creating as it comes to be.
Jason, I would love to come back as the book gets closer. I'd love to talk about it as it, and we'll figure out if New Friday wants to pick it up or if I want to self publish this one. And yeah, but I definitely want to get this one in people's hands for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, John. I appreciate the chat and glad to talk with you anytime.
Wonderful, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.